Hello everyone. In today's video, we're diving into the power of Redux Toolkit and RTK Query. In this video, I'm not going to teach you how Redux works. We're not going to dive deep into the mechanism of how it works. I'm going straight to the point and show you how to get your shit done. I'll show you how to use Redux Toolkit, how to persist data, how to selectively persist data, and I'll also teach you how to use React Toolkit Query, how to solve problems that arise during all this process, even if you follow the docs completely. Without further delay, let's dive right in. To show you the uses of Redux Toolkit and RTK Query, I've created a small project like setup. You can clone it from my GitHub. I've dropped the link in description, or you can follow the steps to directly integrate it in your project. Give you a quick rundown of what I've done here in the setup. I have a database here and a JSON server setup. I'll quickly run the servers uh, to show you. Here I have a post page, and then when I click on a post, you go to the comments page, and in the comments page we're fetching comments. Okay, in the web view, when I click on post, we go to comments. That's it. As you can see in the project structure, I've created a folder called store in the app directory. I've also created features folder for the Redux Toolkit usage and API folder for RTK queries. This folder structure is just my preference and you can do any different if you want to. First of all, we create a store and let's look at the docs for easier setup. We can just copy the boilerplate code and start from there. We install React Redux and Redux.js toolkit in our project. Let's look for the boilerplate code in quick start. Okay, there it is. And now we create what Redux calls slice. We need to define actions and reducers. We copy the code from the quick start and just tailor it for our requirement. First, let's clear all these reducers. We can just replace the counters by post. I'll search for counter and then replace it with post. Capital ones with capital ones and then the small letters with small letters. Now let's create our initial state. Here the post type is imported from main page, the home page. We need to now create a reducer for post. We will just do get post and clear post for now for this video. These are the actions you dispatch from your application and we create function to get data to use in application using use selector. Okay, here you define what happens when you dispatch a action. Okay, when we try to get post, when we dispatch get post, then we'll dispatch it with data and then we'll fill our state with that data. Okay, but when we clear the post, when we dispatch clear post, we need to empty our state. So that's what we're doing here. Also, we'll also export the fetch post function so that we can easily use it from our application using use selector. You can actually just use selector from the page you want to fetch data, but for easier access, we'll create those functions here. Now you can just use dispatch and use selector to manipulate Redux state and fetch state data. Okay, let me open my backend server. Oh, wait, I still have a lot of work to do, but okay, I'll open it and then continue. After we have created all these actions and reducers, now we need to add the reducer in the store. Let me fix these errors first. Okay, let's see what's going on. We can change slice to data. We import post data by default. There's still one left. Now we need to wrap the whole project with the provider and pass in the store. Provider is imported from React Redux and stored from the store we just created. Let's open our project. JSON server is running on 3000, so we'll use 3001. Don't let the JSON server confuse you. You can actually just ignore it. We're just using it to emulate the REST APIs. Okay, we're getting an error. It says you can't use this stuff in the server side, so we use client and remove the metadata. Name, I forgot the function name. Set posts or get posts. Okay, we dispatch this get post and then use dispatch is imported from React Redux. Okay, so why is it red? Now let me show you how you can just get data from Redux and use it using use selector. And that's it. See? Easy peasy. Debug React Redux using Redux DevTools. It's an extension you can install in your browser and then navigate it to track the Redux states and the actions that are triggered. Okay, this is it, guys, but we have a problem. Now, when we fetch data and put it in Redux state, and if we reload it from some other pages, the Redux data is gone. So we need to persist those data and then make sure they stay. Even if we reload from some other pages, we need our data to be stored in Redux. So comes the Redux Persist. We need to install Redux Persist and types for Redux Persist as a dev dependency. And we don't need this window. So okay, to make our persist, yeah, Redux Persist work, we need to create a persist configuration. We define key and storage. Default storage is local storage, but you can also change it to session storage or async storage for mobile devices. Key is the key for which all this data are stored in local storage. If we want only a few of our state to persist and some not, then we can use blacklist to exclude them from the persist data. But for now we only have one, so we'll not use it. But later I'll show you. Then you will put all the reducers in combined reducers from Redux.js toolkit. Now only we have one, but even if you have multiple, then you combine all those reducers into one. That is taken as argument. The combined reducer and persist configuration are taken as argument into persisted reducers. Persisted reducers are then provided into configure store. I know it seems like we have done a lot, but look at the screen. I think we have only wrote like 4 lines of code. Okay, now we'll need to add middleware, but we'll do that later. And why is that red? Okay, it's not imported from that. It is imported from Redux Persist. Now let's look at our browser, if it's working. Our localhost 1001, and then we open our Redux DevTool. Then we reload, but it's not working. Okay, let's look at the console for any errors. There are no errors in console. Okay, I realize what seems to have gone wrong. We also need to export our Persist store. Okay, so basically what we did is we configured Persist configuration. Then we entered it into reducers. We combined all those reducers and entered it into reducers, and then we are just exporting the Persist store. That's it. And now we have error because we don't have middleware configured. Okay, a good thing I have Copilot. It does half the work for me. So we have now addressed an error, but okay, we'll address that later. Right now, let's ignore a few actions for persist. We'll ignore this persist and re-iterate. These are the ones that were throwing error in the console earlier, but you can ignore a lot of more of actions. That's up to you. Now, for this error in the terminal, I found a solution. It seems the reason of this error is there is no local storage in the server side, so it was creating a Noop storage. So, um, using this solution, we'll still create a Noop storage, but it won't give any error in the terminal. So, it works half. So, this is the only solution I could come up with. So what we're doing is we're creating a Noop storage if it's in the server side, and if it's on the client side, if there is window, then we're creating a local storage. And okay, storage should not be inside. It should be outside in the Noop storage. Okay, now let's see if it works now. But we still have address an error to settle, but the terminal error is gone. Um, the aggression error is also similar. It's because the data in server and client side does not match. So the persisted data in our client side is not same as the data in server. So instead of using persisted data directly, I'll put it in a state in the client side and then use it. Then that should do it. Hydration error isn't always created by this scenario. Sometimes it is just created when you create a div inside p tag, or there are few more scenarios. But for this one, we'll just make everything client side. Then that should work. And we're done. So I showed you how you can store data in Redux and use it from there easily. Also showed you how you can persist data in local storage and also solve issues you will face in doing so. Now let's see if the data persists or not. We'll go to our Redux Dev Tools, reload our page, and see the data is still there, stays there. And I'll show you one more thing: how our data is stored in local storage under the key we just set. We define in store in persist config. Now the next one is RTK query. Now we use RTK query for the comments data. First, let's create API.ts file in comments folder inside API. Then create APIs using create API imported from Redux Toolkit. Don't mistake where it is imported from. my copilot just generated this code, but reducer path here is just name for this reducer. Base query will have base URL and then headers for your APIs. You can also put headers inside this base query. Everything is auto generated by Copilot because I've done it previously. Here, Copilot I have generated two endpoints, but I'll only show you by using one and tell you how to use others. In query, you enter the query for data like once in Next.js or fetch. If you have noticed, get data is builder.query and add data is builder.mutation. Remember that. Then tab and we get edit and delete also. Oh, there is an error. Seems we're missing some brackets. Now we can export this API using use query and use mutation to get the data. You can also use lazy query. Okay, use query and use lazy queries are to get data and get lazy data. You know the lazy data. The data you can fetch only when you get to that component. Similarly, you use mutation to post or edit data. So your component, your editor will recommend this use query and use mutations. So don't worry about it. Now we can use it in our comment component. Okay. Now we can get data is loading, it's fetching, error, refetch, etc. from this use get comment query. One thing you need to remember about this is it caches the data. Okay, data is cached here, so if you want to get updated data you will need to refetch, like we imported data from use get comment query. You can also import comma refetch comma is loading comma is fetching comma error like you used to do in Redux earlier. Wait, we still haven't configured it in our store, right? So let's go to the store. Now in this store we need to add this comment API as reducer in the reducers, in the combined reducers, and then we need to add a middleware for this API. That's it, and we're done. Okay, that looks like an error. We just add a question mark and it should be done. Okay, it's working. There are no any errors in the console. We have Redux dev tools and there is data in Redux dev tools too. We can see it from there. When I reloaded it, we got this address and error again. So since we get the same error again, we'll solve it by the same method again. We'll just create a state and we'll use the that state in our component to present our data. We won't use it directly from Redux. That should fix it. Comments data and it's working. I'll give you an example of selective persist. we'll use the blacklist. Okay. When I reload the page, the comments data is still here. But if I blacklist in the store and open DevTools again and reload it, it's gone. Thank you for watching. If you face any issues following the video, please comment down and also like and subscribe for similar content. Bye bye.